Hi, it's Megan. I'm reading my notes from The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I have my notes in front of me and I might make some comments of my own. I hope this is gonna help you or someone you love. Okay. Allow yourself to feel feelings. The rich suffer because of their riches, the poor suffer because of their poverty. People without a family suffer because they have no family, and people with a family suffer because of their family. It says that pain and loss, suffering, is inevitable, and we should stop trying to resist it. So yes, I know this is a really big factor. I know, like, sometimes in a day and age, it's like, oh, we can't feel these feelings. Like, it's wrong to feel angry or to feel sad, or if I'm depressed, then something's wrong with me, kind of thing. But in reality, these feelings are good for us, and they're almost like an energy flowing in and out. I actually got that from another book called The Untethered Soul, where it's just energy, and you're allowed to feel this energy. So I think in the book it talked about an angry person. It's like, okay, now that I'm angry, and then I feel guilty for feeling angry. So now not only do I feel angry and guilty, like you shouldn't feel bad for having feelings. And once you realize like all these feelings are part of life, I feel like you'll stop feeling bad for having feelings. And even Mother Earth has to rain to have a beautiful spring. And so there are days or weeks or seasons in your life that are going to be bad, but you're going to need those moments to feel beautiful and have beautiful flowers blossom in your life. Sometimes Mother Earth needs to cry to have a beautiful rainbow, and these are just part of life. And if you try to run for them or try to run away from them or try to reject those whole feelings, can you imagine how Earth would be without rain and without clouds and without all these things, Like, it is inedible. We need all of it. I want the reward and not the struggle. The joy is in the climb itself. This spoke to me so deeply, this part. It basically said, like, we all are going to struggle for something, right? It could be losing weight, it could be reading, it could be learning a language. So this is like, okay, what is worth it to struggle for? I love reading. For me, reading is not a struggle, but for somebody else, reading can be like, oh my gosh, I hate reading, I don't want to do it. It almost feels forced, right? Same with like working out and eating healthy. Like some people that's really easy, they love doing it, but some people it's like they are overweight and realize like, okay, this is gonna be a struggle to get to this point of, a healthy lifestyle, but is that struggle worth it? I know for me, I've been learning Japanese on and off for a while, because I never really committed to it fully. Like I know words, I traveled there, I lived there for a little bit, but did I do I really know Japanese? Am I really like committed to it? Because I'll only do it based on motivation itself, and that's only going to be like a week straight, and then I'll go back to not doing it, and then I'll have another burst of motivation, and then I don't do it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this something I'm willing to struggle for every day or 5 days a week? Like maybe I start realizing like maybe I don't want to learn Japanese. Maybe I don't want to do these things. I think I said it's like more in love with the reward, not the struggle. It's like I'm in love with the idea of being able to talk to people and communicate and experience their culture, but I love that feeling more than the actual studying itself. But to get to the point where I'm talking to people and like enjoying conversations, enjoying culture, I have to go through that struggle first. And you have to figure out, okay, what's worth the struggle? Is eating healthy and working out worth the struggle of feeling confident in your skin? Is taking some time to learn another language, worth it for you? Is learning piano, learning an instrument, worth it for you? Are you going to actually enjoy the struggle of getting there? I remember I used to run a lot, and I would run like 6 miles a day, and I hated it. I hated it when I first started. I would start with walking, 2 miles a day, and then it was during COVID, so we just had all the time in the world. So I was walking and walking and walking, and then I started running, and I hated it for a long time until I started loving it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like my therapy. I loved running. And even now, like once you hit to a certain 3 mile mark or something, like you just start feeling these good endorphins and stuff. And so it's like you have to go through that struggle for the first 3 miles of, oh my gosh, this is awful, I hate this, to, oh my gosh, this is such a good feeling. I'm so grateful that I went through that struggle to get to this point, kind of thing. There's always gonna be struggle in your life. And what is worth struggling for you? If you say you want to lose weight, if you want to read the book, you buy the book, you buy the gym equipment. But if you literally let it sit and collect dust, then maybe it's not something you want to struggle for. Maybe you really don't want it. And that was an eye-opening thing for me in Japanese. I was like, maybe I don't want this. Why am I not putting the effort? I keep saying I want to do this, but I'm not really taking the time. Maybe it's not something I really want. And so that was really eye-opening for me. I was like, okay, am I really in wanting to learn this language, or am I just saying I want to and only visualizing after I've already learned all of it? And so that was something that really eye-opening to me. A person who actually has a high self-worth is able to look at negative parts of their character. Yes, sometimes I'm irresponsible with money. Yes, I rely too much on others to support me and should be more self-reliant, and then acts to improve upon them. But entitled people, because they are incapable of acknowledging their own problems openly and honestly, they are incapable of improving their lives in any lasting and meaningful way. The rare people who do become truly exceptional at something do so not because they believe they're exceptional. They become amazing because they are obsessed with improvement. They always know they can be so much better. Anti-entitlement. So yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that am obsessed with learning. I remember having a conversation with someone, and I had an opinion, and they straight up just said like, "Oh, your opinion is wrong," right? And I think it was a misunderstanding where someone's like, "Oh, well then they can't have their own opinion," or I just meant like, there's always two sides of every coin. My perspective might be different from yours, but I'm never gonna say your perspective is completely wrong, kind of thing. Because if you're so tunnel visioned on this one opinion, how can you ever grow? I think that's people who are so fluid and able to look at someone's point of view and say like, hey, like I don't completely agree with you, but I'm willing to meet you halfway, and I can see your point of view. The self-awareness onion. There are multiple layers, and the more you peel them back, the more you're going to start crying at inappropriate times. Why do we suffer? It's not the situation, but how we look at it. Simply to blame others is only hurting yourself. So yeah, so I went through a really, really long healing phase. That's why I started reading in the first place. I knew like my anger and resentment towards people was eating me alive, and I realized, okay, I can either blame them and suffer, or I can say, you know what, this is the life, this is what happened, there's nothing I can do about it, and I can move forward. And so I feel like that's kind of like what I got from this. You have to realize that's just part of life. People are going to hurt you. People are going to do things that you don't agree with. And you can either play the victim role or you can come out of it stronger. Like, you need to own your situation. Like, the situation happened. Nothing you can do about it. Your reaction is the only thing that can change, and your future is the only thing that can happen. You cannot live in the past for the rest of your life. And I know it's very hard from someone who has had a lot of trauma. Like, you need to move forward because you only have one life, and you cannot let these people who hurt you and betrayed you take your life away from you. Okay, you have to be like, you know what, this is my life and I own this life, and I'm gonna make the best out of it, no matter what other people do or have done. Definitely recommend setting boundaries at this point. Do not feel like you have to stay in the situation. If you are in the situation, definitely try and get your way to get out of the situation. But your life is yours and you only have one. Enjoy it to the best of your ability, and don't let these people take your joy. The second you realize like, these people have no power over me, I'm not gonna let their choices affect my life. They have all their ammunition's gone. So there's basically a part where there's an example of a brother telling his sister not to marry her fiance. And the brother assumes he knows what's best for her and she can't make major life decisions for herself. He assumes that he has the right and the responsibility to make decisions for her. He is certain that he is right and so everyone else must be wrong. But that type of entitlement is hard to admit. Option A. Continue causing drama and friction within the family, complicating that what otherwise be a happy moment, and damage the trust and respect he has for his sister, all because he has a hunch for this guy that is bad for her. Or option B. Mistrust his own ability to determine what's right or wrong for his sister's life and remain humble. Trust her ability to make her own decisions, even if he doesn't, live with the results out of love and respect for her. Almost all people choose option A because option A is the easier path. It requires little thought. No second guessing, no zero tolerance of decisions that other people make that you don't like. It also creates the most misery involved. It's option B that sustains healthy and happy relationships built on trust and respect. Option B forces people to remain humble and admit ignorance. Option B allows people to grow and above their insecurities and recognize situations when they're being impulsive or unfair or selfish. Option B is hard and painful, so people don't choose it. He would rather mess up his relationship with his sister than consider that he might be wrong. I try to live with few rules, but one of them is this. If it's down to me being screwed up, or everyone else who's screwed up, it is far, 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 far more likely that I'm the one who screwed up. I learned this from experience. I have been the a-hole acting out based on my own insecurities and flawed certainties more times than I could count. And it's not pretty. It feels like it's you versus the world, then most time it's just you versus yourself. You cannot control other people. You cannot control literally anything that's out of your control. Why even bother to put your energy trying to control it? If You know, if you have a loved one that you really care about, you can say in love, like, hey, like, I don't know if this person's there for you. I don't know if this person's right for you. I've had, you know, my family say that same thing to me out of love. But at the same time, you can say whatever you want and understand they're going to take it or they're going to leave it. You know, you have to realize that. Like, they're not going to 100% listen to you all the time. They can take what you're saying and do nothing with it, you know? And you have to, after you say what you have to say, you can say, like, I still respect and love your choices. I just want to let you know. And, you know, I'm praying for your marriage, you know, whatever. I just really, I have been controlling in the past. I know I have had control issues. That's why I'm terrified of flying. I had fear of like other people driving. You know, I have a very bad control problem. And, you know, when I became free, when I realized I can only control what I can control. The Untethered Soul is another book that just really helped me with my control problem. If you have a control problem, I definitely recommend that book. Or any kind of fear and stuff like that, definitely recommend it. But yes, you cannot control what is out of your control. You can only do what is in your control, and you can give the advice, you can do all you can, but understanding like, okay, I did my part, but I can also realizing like you're just putting out this energy and you're trying your best to help somebody and they're probably never gonna change or they're probably never gonna do anything with it. You know, just realizing like you're using your energy and people are doing nothing with it, you know, so why even let them? Say it once, don't say it again. You can't just allow your energy to keep going to these places that aren't benefiting you. Pain is part of the process. There needs to be rain, there needs to be suffering for you to succeed. I think I was watching something, I can't exactly remember, but I think it might have been the guy, the host from Family Feud. And he was like, you cannot succeed more than you can fail. You have to fail more than you can succeed. There is no way you can succeed without failing. And that applies for anything. YouTube, weight loss, like there's so many times where people try to lose weight and they, you know, fall back, and that's part of life. You cannot succeed without failing because that's where you learn. Honesty is a natural human craving, but part of having honesty in our lives is becoming comfortable of hearing and saying the word no. And this way, rejection actually makes our relationships better and our emotional lives healthier. And there was this part where he talked about, like, you know, the wife's like, oh, do I look good in this dress? You know, men stereotypically lie in this situation to make their girlfriends or wives happy, but I don't. Because honesty in my relationship is more important to me than feeling good all the time. The last person I should have to censor myself with is the woman I love. She calls me on my BS too, which is one of the most important traits she offers me. Sure, my ego gets bruised sometimes, and I complain and try to argue, but then hours later, I realize that she was right. And she makes me a better person, even though I hate hearing it at the time. When our highest priority is to always feel good, make our partner always feel good, then no one ends up feeling good, and our relationship ends up falling apart without us even knowing it. Without conflict, there can be no trust. Conflict exists to show us who is here for us unconditionally, and who is just there for the benefits. For a relationship to be healthy, both people must be willing to be able to say no and hear no. Conflict is not only normal, but is absolutely necessary to maintain a healthy relationship. If two people are close, but are not able to hash out their differences openly and vocally, then the relationship is based on manipulation and misrepresentation, and it'll slowly become toxic. Also, I want to say, he did say that most of the time she is gorgeous. When she asked, like, how does this look? It was just, like, in the very few times that, you know, maybe he just didn't like the way she did her hair or, like, the dress. Maybe he didn't really like the dress itself. Like, he's going to be honest in that situation. And I'm not saying he's, like, telling her she's ugly all the time, by the way. Trust is the most important thing in any relationship. Without trust, the relationship actually doesn't mean anything. That is what is so destructive about cheating. It's not about the fooling around. It's about the trust that is destroyed as the result. Without trust, the relationship can no longer function. So it's either rebuild the trust or say goodbyes. A track record. If somebody breaks your trust, words are nice, but you need to see a consistent track record of improved behavior. Only then you can begin to trusting that a cheater's values are now aligned properly. The person really will change. Unfortunately, building a track record for trust takes time. Certainly a lot more time than it takes to break trust. And during that trust building times, things are most likely going to be really crappy. So both people in the relationship need to be conscious of the struggle they're choosing to undertake. If the trust is broken, then it can only be given back if two things happen. 1. The trust breaker admits the true values that cause the distrust and owns up to them. 2. The trust breaker builds a track record of improved behavior over time. So the next part is talking about when you limit the options for your life, a job, a location to live, a significant other, less really is more. Commitment is good. Knowing what you already have is good enough. Why would you ever stress about chasing more, more, and more? So yeah, I feel like I've been living with my parents for a long time, and I'm just waiting for the day that I can move out. You know, I'm graduating in like a week or something, and so I'm just like, waiting. But I'm also realizing, I'm very thankful for my parents to have had me here. I'm so thankful to have so much time with my little sisters while I'm here. So, I'm trying to, realize like the grass is greener here. The grass is green wherever I am at. There's always going to be more grass later on if God like blesses me with that. But right now, the grass is green here, and realizing like whatever you have is good, and being grateful is really big. I know a lot of people who have it all, like a lot of money, have boats, have mansions, and they're miserable, and money is great, but if you're poor and unhappy, you'll be rich and unhappy because you're chasing the wrong thing. We are driven by fear to not live to our fullest. Come to terms with the best we can to death. It's okay to die. The fear of death follows from fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Mark Twain. I am, again, deathly fearful of flying, but I have flown more times than I can count. I have traveled around the world because I'm not going to let this fear of mine take charge of my life. Of course, I'm like for the first year of me flying, I literally would cry every single time and like obviously pray and everything. And now I still pray. The Untethered Soul really helped me with this. But you cannot let these fears live your life. You are great already, whether you realize it or not, whether or not anyone else realizes it or not. And it's not because you launched an iPhone app or finished school a year early or bought yourself a boat. These things do not define greatness. You are already great because in the endless confusion and certain death, you continue to choose what to care about and what not to. This option in your life already makes you beautiful, already makes you successful, already makes you loved, even if you don't realize it. We are all going to die, and that is because we have all been fortunate enough to live. How are you feeling? Alive. Very alive. My wanting to live, my faith in God is bigger than that fear. You cannot allow these, whatever you're scared of, whether it's starting a business, whether it's, and I'm not saying go skydiving, but if it's something you want to do and your fears are stopping you from it, take a leap of faith and try, because I am never going to regret traveling. I am never going to regret it. It was some of the most amazing experiences I've had with people I love. And you can never get those experiences back. That's the one thing I realized in life. You just have, like, when you look back on your life, will you be happy with it? Will you realize, like, I lived to the fullest and I didn't let anyone else take my life away from me? I didn't let any fear take my life away from me. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this. Thanks for watching. Thanks. Bye.